Hi, welcome to Cubs and Culture for January 26, 2018. Still, nothing has really happened with the Cubs. We're still waiting on. There's 130 free agents, and there's talk of them doing their own spring training at this point. So we're just in a stalemate, and I don't want to talk about it because it's annoying me. Anyway, so I happened to watch Get Out today, and I'm going to spend a lot of my time talking about it as a movie. But first, I want to talk as opposed to like the social commentary, because for one thing, don't listen to me for the social commentary about this film. I'm a white guy. I'm a white person. Go have a go listen to I should shut up and listen on racism issues for the most part. So go listen to Jordan Peele discuss what he thinks this movie is about, because his perspective is obviously on that point more valuable than mine. So, but setting that aside, I really am grateful that the Oscars this year, that this film got four Oscar nominations: picture, director, actor, and screenplay. I think an argument can also be made for Catherine Keener, who's absolutely delightfully evil in this film, and Howdy, who is the guy who played Rod, who is the best. Like, in some ways, he's the best part of this movie. Picked up his best supporting actor nomination. By the way, it's also fucking awful that because in the way in which like SAG rules work, he's not actually eligible for a lot of awards, because he's not actually despite the fact that he plays a fairly significant role in the film, he doesn't actually have a main credit, so he's not eligible for a lot of awards and that sort of bullshit, and sort of interpolitics of creation. In any case, I do want to, because it's virtually impossible to talk about, excuse me, this film without discussing racism, because it is a biting satire horror film on that part is I just want to there's three. This is not meant to be an exhaustive list, but you can think of racism as sort of grouping and sort of like three different categories. You have sort of the overt hostile stuff, which is lynchings, KKK, Nazis, eugenics, etc. Which is what most people think as of racism, and apparently even then it's not, for some people that's not like Trump is Trump hasn't quite donned a Klan hood yet, but he might as well. And I still feel like some people would deny that Trump was a racist if he showed up one day to a press conference in Klan robes. Any case, so there's that stuff, and then there's also you get this more in like liberal or progressive circles. There's this sort of patronizing white man's burden. Where white people, the white savior complex that you have, that liberals white people have to come in and save black people from the other evil white people. You kind of get, so this sort of thing is also like, I would have voted for Obama 3 times, which is a joke in the movie. There's also, and then sort of the other main group, and there's a great quote from Martin Luther King about these people, which is basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that the issues that face the black man in America are not really the overt hostile people, because they just so fundamentally misunderstand black people. It's the great mass of white moderates who see the problems of racism and basically say, you're going too fast. They tone police, or they'll say things like, I understand your point, but why do you have to be so angry all the time about it? When a black person is complaining about racism. And the reason why I'm bringing these 3 groupings up is the movie. I mean, there's elements of all 3, of course, because There always is. But the movie, but Get Out, in its sort of biting satire, is it actually isn't, and I think this is correctly, especially if you know the production history. It's not targeted at overt racism. It's targeted at sort of the patronizing and the white moderates. Excuse me, as sort of the butt of the joke here, in the way in which those sort of positions or ideologies that were cultural ideas that around when the script was being written. Again, go listen to Peele because he's the far better voice. I'm just sort of putting this out there so you, it is a way of processing the movie. Is that when Obama was elected, there was this whole sort of thing about racism is over because we elected a black man president. That's of course false, and this movie is sort of dealing with that, and it really is biting, and biting in this way, and because it really as a white person, there's parts of this movie which are just profoundly uncomfortable to sit through because the white characters are saying things that you've heard your family say in the past, and sort of like fetishizing black men, or saying things like black is in, or saying things like black men are more naturally gifted in athletics, and like on the one hand, like that's really biting social satire, but it's also because of the discomfort you feel, or I shouldn't say you feel, that I feel, really makes it work as a horror film, and I absolutely adore this film in that regard. And one of the things about it is, well, most of the commentary, for obvious reason, given the sort of political manure we're in at the moment, excuse me, has been focused on sort of the biting social commentary. And so the reason why I'm sort of discussing it now is I actually, maybe in 20, 30 years, the film will feel dated on this. Hopefully it does, because if it does feel dated, that means we have successfully dismantled racism. Though I'm not entirely sure if the movie is any way optimistic about that, because you can read the title of the film as like advice for black people of color to get out of the United States. I mean, that's one way of reading the title. But I think so sort of the craftsmanship and then it just being a rockin' horror film is always going to be there. And so I really, really do adore this film just as a film, because it's really, really good. It's funny and engaging. And it's absolutely just entertaining. And on this note, and I'll talk a little bit about the this other movie about the way in which Get Out was okay. So the reason why I want to talk about this movie is it's very similar to Get Out, where it has sort of a biting social critique into it, but it's mostly just an entertaining film. It was just Get Out. It's fortunate for Get Out that it was released when it was, in that it really sort of captures the zeitgeist of trying to deal with Trumpism. In fact, there's a pretty significant change that happened that went from the original script to what was actually released, which I actually think is the correct choice, which I'll discuss in the next section. And so because of that, it's one of the reasons why it's just well timed. This other movie called Slither, which I think is a very good movie, and it's prior to Get Out. It's probably my favorite straight horror film of the aughts. that it's really interesting to me the way in which, because of the timing of these two films, despite that they're sort of broadly similar in what having a social commentary, but also then mostly being a horror film. Um, how it happens to be. Okay, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. So I'll see you in the next section. There will be spoilers. Okay, I'll remind people when I start again. Okay, see you in a moment.